Here on the OCU Athletics Update, we're talking to Delaware Resource Group Superstar Athlete of the Week, Daniela Galindo, senior from Shattuck, Oklahoma, leads the Stars women's basketball team in scoring, assists, and steals. And Daniela, you guys have a 3-game road trip coming up where you visit Panhandle State, Wayland Baptist, who's one of the top teams in the conference, and then Central Christian. What's the team's outlook heading into that 3-game swing?
We've got to go in prepared. You know, it's going to be a long weekend. We've got to focus on each game individually. We've got to focus in practice, got to be prepared, prepare each other mentally, physically. And I think if we go in focused and determined, I think we'll come out with the outcome that we're going for. So we just got to prepare ourselves.
One of your best performances as a Star came in last year's Sooner Athletic Conference tournament when you scored 31 points and made 7 threes. What do you remember about that game?
Such a fun game. Going into that game, you know, we were determined, we were excited. We were going for that conference championship. So, you know, we already had all this adrenaline rushing, and then to go in and execute and everybody play their part. And, you know, I couldn't have done it without the contribution of my teammates. And I think we all executed very well. They helped me get open. Those open shots that, you know, those 3-pointers don't just come easy. And so I think it helped a lot with the teammates I had and how they helped me get my shots in. It was such a fun game. I remember celebrating afterwards. You know, it was such a relief. It was a lot of satisfaction from that game.
Also last year in the national tournament, you had a game winner against Montana Western. What do you remember about that specific play to get the game winning shot?
Oh, tied game, and then we have like 7 seconds to go, and coach draws us up a play. We go out there, and first or second options aren't there. We have to go on and execute on our own, and I get that ball on the baseline, that girl runs at me, and I take 1-2 dribbles, pull up, shoot that shot, and I think for a second everything is still and silent until I see that ball go through the net. And I think that was one of the best feelings, seeing that ball go through. And afterwards, I swear, it was just like this loud commotion of just cheering and yelling, and it was awesome.
Last weekend, you guys got to host the 1988 Women's National Championship team from OCU. What was that like, and what was it like to kind of connect with the players from that team that won the first national championship for this program?
It was really neat, especially to meet the group of women who laid the foundation for this program, who began it all, and to see what kind of women they are, and you know how excited they were to come back and to see the program that, you know, they started it all with, got the first national win. And it was really neat, especially to be able to talk with them and just see what it was like for them and compare the times then and now. And so it was really cool to have them back, and especially to be able to recognize them that night.
We talked a lot about performances from last year. What's different between last year's team and this year's team?
No doubt we have different players, but I think the players that we have brought in have done a tremendous job of filling in those roles, and I think we brought in a lot of more younger players this year, and without a doubt they have stepped up and have grown tremendously in the game of basketball. And so I think losing some players that were a lot older or more mature in the game, and then bringing in younger players, that was a lot of difference. But like I said, I think they've stepped in so well, and they have taken those roles and just gone with them.
What brought you here to OCU?
No doubt it was Coach Overton. You know, he was great from the whole recruiting process. He was always communicating, checking in on how I was doing, and just keeping up with me. And him and Coach Megan were tremendous in the communicating. And whenever I came on my visit, you know, the campus was beautiful. It's in Oklahoma City. The education here is fantastic, and not to mention it's close to home, and that was always something I was looking for, was being able to be close to home, and it was awesome to have that bond with the coaches right away.
What's your major?
Biomedical science.
So what kind of career goals do you have when basketball's over?
I would love to be able to attend a PA program, which is a physician assistant program, and really anywhere. I'm not looking to stay anywhere specifically, but I think being able to continue with my education in that field would be something that I would truly love.
All right, talking to Delaware Resource Group Superstar Athlete of the Week, Daniela Galindo. You can follow the Stars on OCUsports.com.
At Oklahoma City University, it's on all of us to put an end to sexual violence in our campus community.
Title IX is a federal law that addresses our students' right to education free from sex discrimination. OCU Athletics is committed to fostering a culture of respect for all members of our community.
We aim to embody respect and sportsmanship in all aspects of life.
And it's our job as athletes to intervene when something isn't right.
It's our responsibility as athletes, role models, and members of the community to look out for one another.
OCU athletes are not just champions on the field.
We also strive to be champions of character.
Consent is explicit, not implied.
Sexual contact without consent is sexual assault.
It's on us.
It's on us.
To intervene when something doesn't seem right.
To recognize that alcohol is never an excuse.
It's on us.
It's on all of us.
To make it known we will not tolerate this from
peers,
teammates,
friends,
anyone.
To create an environment that respects everyone's rights and boundaries.
To do the right thing.
It doesn't just happen to women.
It's on us as teammates to lead by example.
To make it known that jokes about sexual assault are unacceptable.
To step up and say something.
To step up and say something.
To step up and say something.
To never blame the victim.
To support survivors.
To be more than a bystander.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
Every day we all choose the type of person that we want to be and the type of athlete that we want to be. And for me, the important lesson there is you got to wake up every day willing to earn it and make the most of it.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's
on all of us, OCU.
Here on the OCU Athletics Update, we're talking to men's wrestling coach CJ Campbell. The Stars currently 8-2 in duels this year, and coach, 8 in a row in duels. In fact, what's gone into the team's performance winning 8 in a row?
Boy, it's been a good streak for us so far. The guys have just stepped up and performed particularly well in duels. Our lineup is, we're young, a little bit of inexperience, but we got some guys that just know how to win, especially when it comes to fighting for their team. So like to see a little bit more of those individual performances show up in some of our big tournaments, but our dual performances have been really good so far. We've beaten some really quality teams along the way.
You did have a narrow loss at the hands of Ouachita Baptist. What happened in that duel?
Boy, that was an interesting duel. There were a lot of things that kind of went awry there. Had a good win at 25, tough kid at 33 that we lost to there. We forfeited 141 and got a dominant victory from Matt Landgraf at 49. Then we get to the 157-pound match. Brock Williams, senior for us, showed up and I think he teched this kid in the first period. It was really solid performance there. 165 is when it started to kind of go awry for us. We had R.J. Walker as a freshman. He's fairly limited on his mat time this year, and he got out in a close match. Had a little bit of an asthma attack in the second period and took his inhaler, tosses his inhaler off to the side at the end of the injury time and loses a point for that. So that cost us a team point there. And then we come to the end of the match, and we've got a takedown right at the end of the period that gets waved off by the referee. That would have sent us to overtime. Had it not been for the loss of the point, that takedown would have won the match for us. So we move on to 174 pounds, and Caden Truelove takes a loss there. We get to 184 pounds. Andres Villa, a freshman from New Mexico, is in a close match with the kid, goes to overtime, and an inadvertent grab of the headgear costs him a match point and loses him the match there in overtime. So that was another unfortunate loss for us that kind of cost us the match. 197 pounds, we wrestled Brian Boozer there, and he got a win for us, solid victory. Heavyweight was another one where unexpected loss for us there. Bryson McGowan, nationally ranked, has had a pretty good season up till recently. He's fighting through some back and knee injury stuff and got a takedown early in the match and gave up that lead in the second period, and was pretty confident that he'd be able to get that takedown back. A lot of stalling calls on both sides, and we just lose that match, couldn't get the takedown at the end, and that duel falls 20-22, I believe, was the final score in that match. So any one of those matches go the other way, that's a 6-point swing, and we win the duel. But you got to take what you get.
You mentioned Brian Boozer earlier in the year at the Missouri Valley Invitational. He set the program record with a 10-second fall. What went into that?
Boy, it was interesting. He had an injury. He had a rib injury, so he was trying to get off the mat as quickly as possible. And it wasn't a typical throw that you would see that would end the mat quickly. He actually hit a high crotch, which is a leg takedown, but was able to elevate the guy in the air, put him directly down on his back, and settled him into the mat right away. The referee stopped the match. It was over in 10 seconds, and that beat Bryson McGowan's 11-second fastest fall record for us, which he set last year.
Matt Landgraf and Bryson McGowan also placed in that Missouri Valley Invitational, which is kind of a tune-up for the national championships. How will those performances propel those two?
I think that tournament particularly, we see a lot of ranked teams and ranked wrestlers, and it gives you more of a preview of what to expect at the national tournament. And so to have those quality matches and those quality wins gives them a little bit of confidence going into the regional tournament, which is what qualifies them for nationals. And as a conference championship this year, we're part of the Sooner Athletic Conference, and so we'll be competing in this. We'll be hosting the SAC championships next weekend. So those wins and those placements at that tournament, they speak volumes for those kids' ability to potentially All-American this year. So we're excited for them.
Explain what it takes to get individuals qualified for the conference tournament and for the national championships.
It's an interesting formula that's just changed this year. So we've gone to a conference championship event. The winner in each weight class automatically qualifies for the national tournament with additional spots being granted in weight classes where there's more than one ranked opponent. I hope that makes sense. So for example, at 125 pounds, if you have 2 wrestlers that are nationally ranked in that weight class, then the 1 and 2 wrestler will go into that weight, will go into nationals from that weight class. If you've got 3, then 3 go. And then there's some at-large bids and national wildcard spots that get distributed based on the strength of your record over the season.
What will the team work on leading up to the conference championships here this month?
We got a couple of guys that we need to give a little bit of time to rest, so we're going to set a couple of guys this week, let those injuries take a little bit of time to get them fresh and healthy and ready to go. The rest of us will be going over film, looking at the matchups that we've got coming into conference championships. We've wrestled most of these teams, not all, but most of these teams, and so we're fortunate to have some film to be able to review and find out what areas we need to work on to get those key wins. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be working on this week and next. I feel like our shape is good. Technically, we're as good as we're gonna be. It's just a matter of mental preparation and going out and performing.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Talking to men's wrestling coach C.J. Campbell. You can follow the Stars on OCUsports.com.